Kia koutou, and welcome to South Pacific Muscle. Myself and Mike, joined by one of the strongest people in the country, possibly the strongest as of the last competition, I believe, Mr. Colm Woulfe. Welcome on board.
Hey, thanks for having me. Good
Really,
to have a chat.
yeah, bro. Always good, man. It's been a long time, man.
It has. Yeah, it's been years.
Yeah, been way too long, bro. And I miss Strongman, man. I wish I could still do it. I wish my body would let me play that game, but
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun too. So do you want to start off just by explaining, because some of our viewers won't have ever really delved into Strongman, to sort of tell a little bit of background about Strongman, what it's all about?
Yep. So basically, it all started. Like obviously, humans have lifted rocks and that for years. It's one of the oldest things you can go back and find. But like the sport of strongman, or it all started, I suppose, with the world's strongest man, when they just got a bunch of, I think it was like a lot of NFL players, throwers, all that sort of thing. They just got them all together, threw them in with a bunch of random events to like find out who the strongest man in the world was. And so it started off with people not really training specifically for it. You know, everyone just sort of showed up. They had some really weird events, especially back in the day. And then, yeah, throughout the years, it kind of evolved. People started training for events specifically. It stopped being about kind of the, I suppose, the like minor athlete celebrities that they were inviting, and it started just becoming who was winning the comps or who was still a good showman. And then, yeah, as the years have gone on, basically the weights have gotten heavier and the guys have just gotten bigger and bigger. Yeah. It's at a pretty ridiculous point nowadays.
Yeah, I remember the early days of World's Strongest Man. And for those that don't know, originally Strongman was created for television. And initially, as you mentioned, it started off in the States, and it was pretty much America's Strongest Man because there were no international athletes. And you're right, you know, like they had, I remember there were some weightlifters there, some NFL players. And in the early days, even people like Franco Colombo got dragged along. Yeah. So it was, I guess that's why it's such a watchable sport, because it was sort of designed to be entertaining rather than evolving from a strictly sports background. But it's really grown. And, you know, as I said, it was initially an all-American affair. And then we had the wave of dominance coming out of Scandinavia. So, you know, Iceland just dominated, for such a small country, dominated World's Strongest Man for many years. The Swedes, the Finnish, and then we kind of had a wave of the Eastern Europeans, and and then we've had some good English strongmen and that coming through, and Americans always been strong. But who's sort of leading the charge in terms of on the world stage at the moment?
Well, the guy who won it last year, Novikov, he's a young guy. I actually can't remember off the top of my head. I think he might be from Ukraine, somewhere around there, but he's actually not that big either. I think he's sitting around sort of 145-ish, which for strongman is not very big. But he does all the events really well. He's kind of deceptively strong. But the last couple of years at World's Strongest Man, they've kind of backed off the super heavyweights a little bit and added in more medleys and that. But it's hard to say. I know some people say now it's going like a little bit lighter, but it changes every year, which is one of the hard parts about it, I suppose, as well.
Yeah, it makes it exciting because you're always training for something different. And, you know, like I remember way back, and you probably remember it too, when, do you remember O.D. Wilson?
Yeah.
So for those that don't know, O.D. Wilson was about 180 kilos on a good day. And he was probably the strongest man on the planet in any static movement. And the last event they strapped, I think it was 100 kilos of bricks, and they had to run a 400-meter track. And this poor bugger, you know, so, you know, some of the events, you know, over the years have been a bit controversial, but it's always entertaining, and it's always good that they you know, they have a lot of variety. And as an athlete, I used to love that. How do you?
Yeah, that's definitely one of the fun parts.
Yeah.
Like I'm training for a powerlifting comp now, but it's already like it's just I miss that variety of events. Yeah, always something different to do.
Yeah, man. Hey, let's just divert for a minute because I know you're doing Wolfpack.
Yep.
How's your prep going for that one?
It's all right. I'm kind of just starting, like, I'm just starting the proper prep come Monday. So I just had a couple of comps about a month ago and have been, I suppose, taking a little break from the heavy lifting, drop some body weight, and then, yeah, looking to build up into this next 8 weeks. And it's still, although like I'm wanting to lift as much as I can there, it's still with more of the aim of almost treating it like an off season for November, which is hopefully when New Zealand's Strongest Man will be, and possibly a comp in Australia. Like I don't want to get my hopes up. Hopefully something like that happens. There's rumors, but you never know in this current climate. So
Yeah, bit of a tough one. Hey, like let's just talk strength for a moment before we get into your background, just so people know. Most bodybuilders and gym folk probably aren't, au fait with the sort of events that you do in Strongman, but on some typical things like, a pressing movement, a curl, a squat. What kind of weights can you move, man? Just so people have an idea of actually.
Give it a bit of context. So I'd love to know your height and weight as well, so we know what sort of mass is pushing that mass.
Yeah. At the moment, I'm sitting about 160, but normally, like I've been at my heaviest, I was about 185. So I got a bit too big there, but I was super strong statically. I don't really do bicep curls like I do. At the moment, he's got Will Crozier, who's doing my program. He's got like some cable curls or something in there, which I just go. I don't even know what it is on the stack. I just do what fatigues me at the end. But like, I suppose the one I find most impressive with Strongman is just the numbers that people put up overhead.
Yep.
So before I had a ruptured tricep and haven't quite got back to where I was before pressing wise. But before that, I could strict shoulder press, no leg drive, 170 for one, and could do reps like 7 reps at 140 was my best. So I always like that because it's three plates a side.
Yep.
It always felt good, like trying to rep that out. But curls I don't do so much, and otherwise the big ones in Strongman are deadlifts. So my best has been 400 without a suit, 410 with a suit. Hopefully more this year, but we'll see.
Mike, you're good at maths. 410 in pounds is the magic number of
900.
Yeah,
that's the one.
How did that feel pulling a 900-pound deadlift, bro?
Good. Yeah, it felt pretty good. I was happy with it. Because the last year I had missed 420, which I don't know in pounds, but yeah, it's a little over 900. But it wasn't close. So I was like, I gotta put that 410 in the bank first, and then maybe towards November I'll go for the 420 again. So that was good.
Any thoughts of, I saw an ad up the other day for wanted any man that can deadlift over 502 pounds or 502 kilos. So they're running a competition, Mike.
I did see that advertised.
Yeah, which is it's a scary number, but like
it is.
I don't think people place enough emphasis on consistency, because way back, and we're talking 2011 or 10, I competed in Aussie, Sydney's Strongest Man, and do you know Runnel Heinler? Yeah, so he was over there, and he was about 110 kilos, and he was pretty strong. He wasn't super strong, but he was pretty strong, and he did pretty well. And then I saw him, over the last couple of years, just grinding away, and he's up over 450 on the deadlift now, which
he is ridiculously strong. And that the unfortunate part, like of World's Strongest Man, and that he hasn't been invited. I can't remember the last time I think he might have gone once. Like we're talking years ago.
Yeah.
But it's just politics. They I don't know, they've got something against him for some reason, but he's legitimately like one of the top guys in the world.
He's
he just
Estonia's strongest man from memory a couple of
Yeah.
times. Yeah.
And he performs really well at the Arnolds and that, but at World's Strongest Man, he just doesn't get an invite. As a fan, like it's frustrating, you know, because you want to see the strongest guys there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, I don't know, business for them, I guess.
Hey, it's always been really challenging for people in New Zealand to actually get an invite to New Zealand's Strongest Man. I remember, you know, years ago, guys were fighting to get there, and I think Colin Cox got there. You've had a run there. Has anyone else from New Zealand had a shot?
So a few, Rongo and Eddie Williams, like they're Kiwis, but they both live in Aussie. But yeah, other than that, not recently. Like Levi went a while back as well.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, the other thing was the 2 times I did go, I was living in Aussie as well, so I guess it was a bit closer for them to fly me over. But hopefully I do want to make it back there. Hopefully in the next year or so, but we'll see.
There's a qualification process, because everyone kind of back in the day used to say if you win New Zealand's Strongest Man, you should get an invite. And then I think for a while you had to go across and win over in Australia as well to qualify. So what's the process, or is it purely invitational?
Now that, like, so you're meant to get an invite if you come top 3 at a Giants Live.
Gotcha.
But the hard part for us on this side of the world is there are no Giants Lives here anymore. Yep. But what they have done in the past, until COVID hit, they took the highest placing person from Oceania, I suppose, at the Arnold Classic Australia. So although it wasn't directly associated with Giants Live, I know they do like to have athletes from the side of the world there, because obviously they do want it to be a world level comp, like a representative of the world. But yeah, that is the hard part, because plus the fact there's only the one, you know, out of the whole year, and injuries being so common in the sport, it's pretty easy to miss out that one sort of shot. But yeah, at this stage, it's like this year's World's Strongest Man is very similar lineup to last year's, and I believe they've just done that because they know those people can all get visas. It's mainly UK and American guys, again, vast majority. But
whereabouts, because for those that don't watch World's Strongest Man pick the most amazing venues to run their competitions. And I think, did you do Botswana?
Yeah, Botswana twice.
Awesome. Do you know where they're holding it this year? Do you know?
US. I can't remember the city. I know it was Florida last year. I think it might be. I can't remember this year, but they've got a contract. Can't remember who with either. Sorry, but it's looking like it'll be in the US for the next 3 years.
Okay. Yep.
So yeah, it looks like it'll be somewhat stable. Yeah.
It's always really cool when you see the background stuff too. Like I remember when they had it in Sun City in South Africa, and all the boys are swimming in the water, and you see these guys that are like, you know, the average guy again would be 150 to 160 kilos, just slabs of muscle, and they're all piling around in the water, playing and clowning around and stuff. And you know, it looks like a lot of fun. And I remember fond memory with Nick Hansen when he went across to Ultimate Strongman, and all the boys went, and all the big guys went to the theme parks, did some photos or something, and then they tried to get Zavickas into one of the roller coasters, and the frame wouldn't fit over top of him.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. Yeah. That was when he was really big as well, eh? Yeah. He was real big that year.
Yeah, I sat down and had breakfast with him. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
And then he got takeaway ice creams to eat afterwards. And I was like, holy.
Yeah.
Hey, let's rewind a bit and talk a bit about where you grew up, what you did as a young fella playing sport, that kind of thing, and how you
Yep.
ultimately got into training and strongman.
So basically, like when I was younger, like I grew up out West Auckland, went to Liston College out in Henderson, but I didn't really play any sports or anything. Like I did, you know, the usual when I was very young, like soccer, cricket, and tennis even, and stuff like that. And then I just got lazy, really. Just played like bull rush at lunchtime. That was always the favorite. But then they banned it. But anyway,
were you a big fella back then at high school, or?
I was fairly big, but I didn't really get like tall until I was like in my final years of high school, and then that's also when I got into the gym. And yeah, I responded really well to the gym. Basically, like I was always pretty overweight, like quite chubby.
Yep.
But once I started lifting, like the muscle came fairly easily to me, which was nice. And then I actually wanted to get into like pro wrestling and bodybuilding. Like I liked the physiques, and that's sort of what got me into the gym. And then I always admired like guys' big traps. So like Ronnie Coleman, Johnny Jackson. I remember when I'd read like Flex magazine and stuff, they'd always say how they had a background in powerlifting.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, I gotta find out, like, gotta do this powerlifting. And then ended up at Gillies Ave doing some powerlifting there. And then ended up going to uni, studying sport and exercise. And then Justin Keogh, you know, Justin, yeah, he was a lecturer there. And I actually ended up going into MMA, and I was doing, after powerlifting, I was doing MMA for quite a while, like 2 or 3 years, something like that. And then started working at the AUT gym and couldn't do MMA anymore, basically. Couldn't make the classes. I had an evening shift, and Justin just kept bugging me to give Strongman a go. And I had already been doing like farmer's walk and stuff. I just enjoyed that kind of training, lifting up something heavy and trying to carry it. I always liked. And then, yeah, he convinced me to give a comp a go, and I just kind of got hooked from there.
Awesome, bro. Hey, was Jono McFarlane at Gillies when you were there?
Yeah, he was, and that was pretty cool, because like we're pretty similar height.
Yeah.
Back then, like he was a lot bigger than me, but he was ridiculously strong. And I remember all the time I was doing powerlifting, all the guys would be saying like, "Oh, your squat's only so bad because you're so tall." And I was always like, I'm sure that's not like I'm sure I just have to get stronger, like keep training. And then I saw Jono, whose squat was ridiculous, and he was like the same height as me. So I was like, man, that's obviously, like, I can't let that sort of thinking into my head. Like I just have to work at it, I guess. And yeah.
One of my favorite things that Jono used to do, I don't know if you remember it. So in the log press, Mike, have you seen the log press event?
Yeah, we had Rongo on.
Yeah. So Jono did a log press, and he used to often do a split, like an Olympic lifting movement. Yep. And I can't remember what he got. What was his best? Around 130-ish or somewhere around there?
Oh, on the log, he did get like a 180 something at one stage at Matt's. Yeah, he was ridiculously strong.
But I remember he used to do it, and then he'd showboat and lift one leg off the ground and sort of tuck it behind him, so he'd be standing up with the log press on one leg. And I've got a photo of him doing it at my place one day when we were training. Gold, man. It was good value. Yeah. Good value. Yeah. Okay, so you did your first comp with Justin, and then who kind of guided you along the way in the early journeys for Strongman? Because it's a pretty technical kind of type of training, because everything's
basically it was Justin and then Matt Rossiter. So the good old days, like going back around to his place. So this was, for people who don't know, this was the guy who was running New Zealand's Strongest Man, and he had all the equipment at his house, and basically anyone interested used to go around to his place, and we would all train together. So it's where a lot of the guys all started out, and he really knew his stuff. Technique wise, like he taught me a lot. The combination of both those two, Justin, very scientific mind, like very clued up on biomechanics, the perfect way to pull the truck in that, getting your body low, trying to use your body weight. And then Matt having both like the knowledge of how to do all the events, but then the experience behind it. And him, like at his peak back in the day, was also ridiculously strong. So he had that, what's the word? I suppose it's like the street smarts version of it in lifting. Like he knew how it was.
The funniest thing about his house, Mike, is you'd go around and all the boys would be training there. His driveway was absolutely fucked. The concrete and everything. There were dents everywhere for lifting stones and dropping fucking logs. But he had just the most amazing equipment. And, the training was really good. The knowledge that you got from him was really good. But also, the guy had the best stories and history behind this.
Yeah, he did.
And he had a one-liner for every occasion. And like even like at New Zealand's Strongest Man, when he was running it, some of the throwaway comments that you got over the years, gold, man. Never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
He was a real pioneer for strongman in New Zealand, and I think definitely. a lot of strongmen owe a lot to Matt. So
yeah, sure.
Rest in peace, my friend. Yeah. Sadly missed. We might just do a quick jump onto your Instagram before we come back, and I know Mike wants to have a bit of talk about some coaching stuff, so I'll just bring up your Insta. Bear with me. Righty-ho, here we go. So, guys, if you want to follow some really incredible lifting, really motivational, I find it even as a bodybuilder now, like, the fact that, you work so fucking hard and you give it everything. I kind of carry that mentality with me in bodybuilding, and it's inspiring to see people do shit that I can't. So if you want to check it out, guys, the Wolfman, Colm Woulfe, jump on there and see this man as hopefully he heads towards who's got the Wolf Pack, and then hopefully we might get to World's Strongest Man this year if things go well. So lots of training videos, bro.
Yeah, I always need to post more, to be honest, but it's I put out what I can, but hopefully I'll get a proper YouTube sorted this year and try and because I'm at that point where I know I'm not going to be able to do this forever. I'd like to try and document the last few years of it if I can.
And also I think it's probably really important for you because you're going as an international athlete. They need to people need to know who you are to get that sort of following.
Definitely, yeah. That's the thing. The bigger following you get nowadays, it helps everything, eh?
I can't get over how small you make bars and plates look, bro.
Yeah.
Here we go. Look at that. So here's that magic moment.
Oh man, you'd probably have to scroll pretty far down, but it's funny seeing me. So obviously being larger than normal, you see me in my group at World's Strongest Man, and I'm kind of middle of the pack. The first year I was there, I think I was the shortest in my group. The first year I was there.
What height are you, Colm? What's your weight?
I'm just about 6'5", like 195 or 96 centimeters, something like that.
Who was in your group?
So the first year I had Thor, so obviously being a giant. Who were the Constantine Janeshia? I don't know if you know him. There was another American who was like 6'6", Derek DeVaughn. Johnny Hansen, who's also like 6'7". He's Sweden's strongest man. Who else? And I forget that year, but then the second year, the taller guys were Brian Shaw, Tom Stoltman, and then there was me, JF Caron, Mark Felix, and Matthias Balsack.
How old was Mark Felix, bro? He's got to be.
Well, I think he's 52 this year. 52 maybe.
No excuses, Mike. No excuses. 52, World's Strongest Man.
Yeah, so back then he might have been 49 or something like that.
Oh, there you go. I've got an excuse now.
Yeah,
Oh, bro. I just, I find it like, I don't think people realize just how big you are until, when you have a look at, like when you're packing down for a deadlift or you're setting up in a squat and you look at the bar and things, I'm like, that bar looks small.
yeah,
Oh, gold. Yeah, I think you had more chance of lifting that mini than getting in it, bro.
yeah. It was definitely easier lifts, that's for sure. They did make me get in it, but it was pretty tough.
Hey, is that a new car that's been done, or is that one from the original competition
It's
back in the 90s?
relatively recent, I think.
Okay.
Um, as far as I know, yeah.
I've got some footage somewhere of when I was a kid, when I went and watched New Zealand's Strongest Man in Napier, and they had some cars there from one of the local wreckers, and they were running around with
Oh, yeah.
Colin, Paul Kingy, I think, was doing it back then.
Yeah.
Bodie Rakety Stones, people like that. So yeah, there's some good old footage floating around out there somewhere. Eh?
Yeah. New Zealand honestly has had there's a ridiculous amount of just strong as people here. It would be good to see strongman just it's definitely growing. Like it's a lot more popular now, but it would be good to see it just keep growing.
Who's running things now? Because there's two series sort of events going on, isn't there?
Yep.
New
So
Zealand?
there's Ruth and BJ of Decile One. They're running New Zealand's Strongest Man and a bunch of other comps. And then there's New Zealand Strongman Series, which is Chris Latham, who also runs a bunch of comps. And yeah, so I do a little bit of both.
Ah, cool. So how do people, if there's athletes that want to get into this kind of thing, nowadays, what's the easiest way to go about that?
Contact you for coaching.
Yeah, coaching's always good. That's definitely one thing is I do think, like Nate, you'll know as well how many injuries there are in the sport, unfortunately. Like it is quite hard stuff. Getting that guidance at the start, I know that was big for me with those two guys, Justin and Matt. But so assuming I would, if I was new to the sport, I would go jump on both those pages, like Decile One, the Facebook page, and the New Zealand Strongman Series Facebook page. I would look up one of the competitions and then shoot them a message and just say, hey, I'm thinking of doing this comp, or I'd like to get into it. And or even shoot me a message and they'll be able to direct you. Everyone kind of knows everyone around the country or where you could train. But definitely, I think it is good to find someone initially who can guide you a little bit.
Yeah.
Just the very basics, on how to carry the farmer's walk and the yoke and that, because if you carry that stuff the wrong way and you get into bad habits, it can go wrong very quickly.
Yeah, and I think even the other side of that is that there's a lot of mistakes and a lot of time that you can save by going to someone that can show you how to do it properly. Because I've seen some phenomenally strong guys that haven't had the event experience and they placed fourth or fifth, when if they'd had a coach, they would have been a contender, essentially. The first one you notice is on the farmer's walk when people run around the corner and they kind of head south and they get dragged along behind the farmer's walks. And so there's a lot of stuff like that I think experience counts a lot for. So
the good thing about it is that everyone in it's pretty friendly and pretty helpful. You're not going to message someone and they're going to not try to help you. Kind of like I was saying, I think everyone involved with it loves the sport and would like to see it grow. So if someone new is interested, they're going to try and help them, point them in the right direction. So yeah, I wouldn't. And it's anyone, we've had a few guys with a bodybuilding background over the year. Bodybuilding, I think, is quite a good, bodybuilding, powerlifting, and rugby. To be honest, they all have their different benefits because strongman tests it's not just one kind of strength, it's a test of everything. So you might, like, let's say a bodybuilder comes over who's used to just doing ridiculous like 20 rep squats and high reps and that. They might come in and do really well in those sort of rep events. A powerlifter might come over and naturally do very well in the heavy single events. And then the rugby player or the farmer might come and just carry stuff super well.
Yes.
And then you want to train your weaknesses over time to become well-rounded. But
funny you say a farmer, because you know, I remember in the early days of Strongman, even back when for those people that have never watched it, go and check out, I think it was 1974 when they have it in Christchurch. And they have World's Strongest Man in Christchurch. Precious McKenzie was the referee. John Paul Sigmarsson, the Viking, was here. Jeff Capes, and there were guys like Alan Halberg from New Zealand. I can't remember who else just off the top of my head, but you know, a lot of the guys came from physical laboring backgrounds, and that kind of was the sort of the norm back then. But nowadays, you know, a strongman is a specialized athlete just as much as a 100-meter runner is. You know, times have moved on, but you do come across some incredibly strong guys with the grip strength that work with their hands all day, and they've never trained grip strength in their life. But you know, they're pretty stunning what some people can do. You know, raw talent.
Yeah, definitely. It's frustrating, when you find one of those people. But yeah, it's pretty cool. That's what I like about Strongman, is it has all those aspects. So and definitely farmers. I swear. Also back like when I was doing MMA, they just farmers were really good there as well. It's like a good general background for anything, I think.
Pretty hard mentally too, I think. You know.
Yeah. Not that I've done it, but they seem like they're pretty...
Bro, I've got a question that I've got to ask you. You've been around some really impressive lifters over the years, both locally, internationally, World's Strongest Man. Tell me some of the most impressive moments or things that have impressed you over the years with lifting.
So to me, the most impressive part has been at World's Strongest Man. So what I suppose the viewer at home won't realize is the show itself is all set up. The focus is TV, basically. It's not, you're not there, you are there to compete, but what the producers and that care about is TV first. So what happens is very often you might be told, okay, like you got 20 minutes to warm up, and you have basically nothing, like just a barbell and some plates. And you'll rush to warm up. So they often don't have, when I was there anyway, it was in Botswana, so I know it was hard to get stuff, but still they had up a bar and plates up to like 140, and they'll say like, quickly, you got to warm up, you got 20 minutes, you'll warm up, and then you'll go out, they'll announce you're about to lift, and then they'll be like, sorry, the lighting's off, just hold tight and we'll go. Like we'll go soon. And then another 20 minutes will go by and you'll just be standing there. And then it's suddenly like, all right, go. You gotta do. So it is an unfortunate part about it, because it is, the thing is, if someone went and lifted and the lighting is off or whatever, the competitor's not going to be able to be seen. So they won't be able to use it on TV. So I understand from that regard. But yeah, as a competitor, it sucks. But what makes it, like, the numbers that you see them lift on TV are, to me, even more impressive because of that. So for example, on the day we had 350 deadlift for reps, they got us up at, I remember they rang us up. We're all in we're all in the same hotel in our different rooms. They rang everyone up at 5 a.m. like, okay, you got to get down here. We're ahead of schedule. You guys are going to have to go get on the bus. So we didn't eat breakfast. Everyone kind of had, little snacks and that. They were like, we'll sort out breakfast when we get there. They rushed us down and then, sorry guys, we're not ready yet. You're not going to be lifting yet. And they had a bar and plates up to 140. It was like a horrible stiff bar, and we were literally in like a mud hut thing, lifting on this dirt, like uneven ground. So you warm up to 140, and then you had to go out and do a deficit deadlift basically on a stiff bar at 350. So that, like, for me, it did influence my training in the end, because I was like, I need to be able to adapt to this.
Yeah.
But I really struggled, managed to grind out 2 reps. And which, under the conditions though, I was sort of like, yeah, like 2 reps, I can't really be too upset about that. Like, it sucks because on TV people just see that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, then Brian Shaw and JF went on to pull 8 reps, which I like. To me, that's absolutely ridiculous. Not just the fact, like, a deficit deadlift for 350 for 8, but to do it only being able to warm up to 150 on like a skinny, a skinny deadlift type bar, and then you just have to go out. It was crazy, but
it's almost like jumping on the bench and doing a couple of reps on 60 and then loading the bar to 220.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's that. And I then saw the same thing later that day with the squat. So I didn't have squat in my group, but they had a 320 squat. Yeah. This time they had up to 180 on a barbell. So guys warmed up to 180, and then it was 320 on an axle, and with like big globes on the side, so very hard to balance. And like, I know a lot of the guys got just 2 or 3 reps, lost balance, and then Thor busts out 5 like super easy. It's like it's actually ridiculous how strong those top dudes are.
It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to know that what we're actually seeing is guys lifting in under adversity, I suppose. And they're probably actually stronger than that in perfect gym conditions.
Yeah, that's what I find the frustrating part is, that you want to, like, I find it really, like, I love the story of athletes overcoming adversity. Like, I find it super inspiring, and like, I almost wish that people watching at home could see, but I understand that it doesn't make the best. Like, a lot of people won't really understand anyway how the warm-up process works and that, but it's it's a crazy level of strength that goes on. Yeah.
Awesome, bro.
Tough.
Yeah. Sorry, Mike, I'm going to hand over to you because I've been talking.
No, that's it's all good. Those who watch normally will know that I normally do training questions, but I know so little about strongman and powerlifting, so I'm not even going to embarrass myself by asking the dumb questions. I see you've got a degree in, master's degree in exercise science. Did you go on and do postgrad work a little bit later, or did you just roll that out right at the start?
I did my undergrad, and then I worked at the gym there. So I basically never left the university, but I worked there for a couple of years at the gym, and then I went into postgrad, and there went on to masters in that.
Did you do a thesis?
Yep, and my thesis was also on strongman training. Well, it was good fun. It was definitely, the title of it was The Physiology of Strongman Training, and we looked at hormonal responses and some physiological ones. And it was good. Like, it was a nice snapshot into what's going on, but ultimately it's just a very small slice of information about the whole. That's the frustrating part about research, I suppose, is you're just seeing a very small slice. Like, we had, I think, maybe 10 or 12 participants, if you suddenly opened that up to like 100 people, you could get very different results. But it was definitely a bit of fun.
Yeah, I did a little bit in my undergrad where I did some EMG studies of comparing leg press and squat, and it almost made me want to go down the research path. It's like, I could actually find the answers to questions that I really want to know. Yeah, it's really fascinating. And so you moved on to, I see you do some online coaching and in-person coaching. Is that, do you sort of go back to your exercise physiology background with that sort of thing as far as programming, or is it mainly technical stuff? So it's strongman, I assume, strongman and powerlifting coaching?
Yep. So I work as a personal trainer, like as my day job. So I'm mainly with general population people. But my online are all basically athletes. I've got strongman powerlifters and one water sports guy. But yeah, that's where I use the exercise science background, I suppose. It's more of the focus on that overall program, I suppose, the overall plan of trying to regulate like the volume and all that, and bring it together on the comp day, which is the fun part, depending on the person and their mentality. I find makes a big difference. But yeah, that's where I use most of it.
Have you got any athletes you're currently working with you think are going to be pretty special? Anyone you want to? I do have a few. There's a few good, strong heavyweight guys, but otherwise I've got a lot of lighter weight class people, but they're all sort of, sorry, that's my dog just trying to jump up. They're all more at that intermediate stage at the moment. But yeah, it's good. I've got one guy who just hit a 700-pound deadlift at the last comp, so that was nice. And yeah, that was a Kiwi guy, so I got to be at the comp with him. I was also competing though, but yeah, that's how it is at the moment. Yeah, so how do you structure your online stuff? You get is it similar to sort of bodybuilding online coaching? You get check-ins every week, program alterations, checking diets as well. You're doing diet and nutrition as well, or?
So I just do the program, no diet or supplements, anything like that. But basically, I get people to fill out a questionnaire, and then I will write up a rough plan of say 8 to 12 weeks, but then I just send them 1 week at a time, and then we adjust each week based on how the previous one went, which I think, like, what I've found is sort of the more important part in the strongman and powerlifting, because none of them are professional athletes. They all have jobs and lives, and it can be being able to adjust it on the fly like that, week to week, having those check-ins. Week to week. Most of the time they message me each day, and I just get back to them each day when I can. But yeah, being able to adjust it when stuff is getting a bit stressful outside the gym, being able to kind of get ahead of that in the gym, and maybe backing off on volume or something when someone's going through an extra stressful week, and all that sort of thing is that's sort of what I enjoy more, I suppose. Mainly because I find it's very rare over the years I could just write someone up a plan and they stick to it the whole 12 weeks and nothing goes wrong. Like, their kid's not sick at night and they're suddenly up all night, and then they have to go do their heavy deadlifts the next day, that sort of thing. So I actually like that side of it, because the same thing happens in my own training, and yeah, it's a bit more interesting, I suppose.
You use a coach yourself, so when you have those stresses and your volume or intensity needs to change in some way, he tells you.
Yeah, so that's something I did. And after the New Zealand Strongest Man last year, so November last year, because I feel like I know how I should train, but at the end of the day, I do still get my ego involved. When things are going well, I just know, like, that's why I'm doing strongman. I love lifting heavy, and if I'm feeling good, I'll just add that weight to the bar. Then my next week of training will go bad, even though I know exactly, like, you shouldn't be doing this. I couldn't help it. I was like, so I need someone else to tell me, and it's been good. Like, I just stick to. I don't even think about it now. I just do whatever he says, basically.
It's a really good point, bro. It's such a good point, not just for strength athletes, but for bodybuilders, for any sport. No matter, often people think about coaching and they think about people that don't have a lot of knowledge or are new to, intermediate and are wanting that knowledge. But, when you've got a high level athlete that's intensely driven and focused on achieving something, and often it's a case of like having someone to rein you back in, because you're going to do anything possible and sometimes anything possible means you're actually doing too much, and someone needs to pull you back a bit. So it's a good
Yeah.
From a bodybuilding perspective, you add some carb depletion on top of that, and there's no way you can make objective decisions about your own training and diet.
Yeah.
So if people want to get take it, I guess, from the intermediate to the advanced level, you're taking clients online, and they should contact you through Insta.
Yep, that's the one. Just shoot me a message.
Cool.
And like although it's part of my job, it's not my main full-time thing. So I will, like, oftentimes if I think someone is a better fit for someone else and that, like, I'll just be honest and tell them. But yeah, shoot me a message if anyone's interested, and if I don't think I can help you, I'll guide you to someone who can, basically. Yeah, I'm not out just to give you a copy and paste program, basically.
Yes, we've had those conversations recently. We're not going to go there. I think one of the things that I'm excited for is, like looking around, whether it's bodybuilding, powerlifting, whatever, is that in New Zealand we've got so much raw talent. So
yeah,
what I'm really looking forward to, and I've seen a lot with bodybuilding this year, and you guys getting on stage and just go, wow, this is really cool. But I see there's been a real resurgence in strength sports up in Auckland. Lots of crews popping up left, right, and centre, and powerlifting, strongman events seem to be all go at the moment.
Yeah, it's good. Hopefully it keeps growing. But yeah, that seems to be. But like you said, there's just so much talent here.
What we need is a local television station. So huge local television stations to film some of the strongman stuff, because it's incredibly entertaining. It beats the shit out of it. Like bodybuilding, I love it because I'm a bodybuilder.
If only there was a YouTube channel dedicated to muscle and strength sports. That's a good idea, mate. You should think about it.
Someone needs to do it, man. Someone needs to do it, because we've
pay someone to fly to all the events and film them. That's what they need to do.
But I think a local television, because like I've got footage going back to early or mid 90s, and they had strongman competitions back then, which were on television TV3, and they were sponsored by Lion Breweries. So the guys had Lion Red track suits and track tops. It was gold, man. And like they threw, like the events were really cool. Prize money was really good. And it had a big television audience. So no one's kind of really done that. So maybe if you're a promoter running an event, you want to, see what you can do. Try and get a bit of coverage. Be cool.
Yeah.
Computer's beeping at me. What's going on there?
Running out of battery.
No, I don't think so. I don't know what it is. Just it being it. Hey, really appreciate you coming on. But before we go, we always hand over to our guests to give a bit of a shout out to those people that have supported them along the way, people that are special to them, their sponsors, those sort of things, people that deserve a shout out. So the floor is yours, my man.
Well, I suppose that I'd like to give a shout out, to both the coaches at Nexus. And so I have a diet and coaching through them. And then like the gyms that I train at, Decile 1 and Health Strength Performance, which is it's awesome having a gym like that up in Whangarei now. Like it's a big gym. They've got all the equipment, which is nice, because last year just at a commercial gym was a bit rough.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the main ones.
Cool. So whereabouts is so Decile 1 is, for those that don't know, West Auckland?
Yep, in Avondale.
Yep. It's the old Miata gym, yeah?
Yep, it's now moved locations, but yep.
Okay, whereabouts in Avondale is that one?
It is, I forget the street name, but it's like across the road from where it was, basically.
Okay, cool. And the gym in Whangarei you're talking about?
Yep, that's Health Strength Performance, which you actually have to send them a message if you want to join. It's a bit different, but yeah, it's good. It's nice having like a proper lifting gym. And big Joe Whitaker powerlifter trains out of there as well, so we'll be training together for this Wolfpack meet. Should be a bit of fun.
Oh, wicked. I saw him lifting, I think, his first NZPF competition.
Yeah,
And he was strong as a house then. That was like eons ago. Yeah.
This is exciting because he's been competing in under the IPF rules for his whole career basically, and now I know they had a bit of a switch. I think it's like there's another organization now called WP, but same sort of rules, and this is the first one where he's got the knee wraps and a deadlift bar, so it should be, his squat is ridiculous. So his best squat's 383 in knee sleeves. So yeah, now he's going to be adding knee wraps, which the modern day knee wraps are pretty powerful. It'll be cool.
He's clocking over 4. Hey man, I almost forgot to ask. Numbers for the Wolfpack, bro. What numbers are we talking? What's your prediction?
Yeah, so I'm hoping if I can have a good day, like I'm hoping to go for the 1,000 total, I think it'll be something like, I think if I could do a 380 squat, that's the main one I've been working on, 220 bench and 400 deadlift, I think that would get me 1,000. Hopefully I can pull it all together, but we'll see. There's a few working around a few niggles at the moment, but they're starting to come right, so it should be, hopefully I can put a good 8-week prep in, and we'll see.
There you go, guys. So anyone who's out there that says I can't squat because I'm too tall, unless you're taller than 6'5" and you're squatting more than 380, don't want to hear about it. Hey bro, awesome to talk again, and I wish you all the very best with your training, my bro, and good luck for Wolfpack. We'll be watching you. Anyone out there that wants to watch a great event, I believe they're streaming that, so that's in about 8 weeks time, so looking forward to that. And in the meantime, people, stay safe, have a great week lifting. We're out.